start. Wasn't that fun? We really want to thank Jill Barad and our friends at Avistar for letting us use their vehicle to show our competence this morning. You'll see Avistar all over this conference, and you will meet Jill at the CEO panel. I'm Ellen Sherberg. I'm the second cheerleader on that video, and I'm the publisher of the Business Journal. I'm thrilled you're all here. Actually, throughout the day, there will be 1,200 of you here. That is a 20% increase from last year and a record for this event. So give yourself a big round of applause. I have a few housekeeping measures. First of all, you can tweet away. There's not a Wi-Fi password needed. We would love it if you would use hashtag STLWomen and also hashtag FavorWall. FavorWall. In our conversation in just a few moments, Michelle Duguid's going to explain why favors are so important to women and to competence. Here's the Cliff Notes version. Men see favors as power. It's our turn to do that. We're good at favors. We just have to do more of them and use them a little bit better. So to encourage this, we've created a favor wall. It is located in the Pegram room, which is also where the Power Up by Personal Touches is. Power Up is so that you can charge those phones and devices. Favor Wall is so that you get power, okay? If you go past all the booths and up a few stairs, that's the Pegram room, and we expect we'll see you there. It wouldn't be a great St. Louis Business Journal Women's Conference if St. Joseph's Academy wasn't in the house. So to the girls at St. Joe's, who have been here for 4 years now and really remind us why we're here, thank you all very much. Why don't you stand up and wave? Come on. These are the girls at St. Joe's. And lest you think that this is some great charity effort on our part, the girls at St. Joe's are learning way early that you can pay to play. And so they bought their way in here. We are thrilled they're here. You might notice that I've got, there, my ovarian cancer awareness pin on. The SLOCA, the St. Louis Ovarian Cancer Awareness Association, is one of about 100 booths that we hope you'll visit today. These are great supporters of women, and it's our turn to support them too. So we hope that, I know that a lot of what we call delicately the booth people are here right now. Why don't you guys wave? Because these are the retailers, nonprofits, and organizations that are the backbone of our community. Please go by and tell them hello. Okay. Before I bring our sponsors to the stage, I want to show you why we're here. Okay? This is today's St. Louis Business Journal. Trish Miller. Trisha, where are you? I saw you. Stand up. Trisha's the editor of the paper. And we have lots of conversations every time we put this paper out. And one of our rules is that we show diversity on our front page. And one of our rules is that it's never a page of all white guys. So I want to tell you, today's paper, you have trouble finding the white guys on this paper. There are two. But this is a paper that has 3 women CEOs in St. Louis, each of whom is doing a tremendous turnaround, public companies, and our character also a tremendous St. Louis woman who would teach us all how to act. That, the front page of the St. Louis Business Journal, has so many women on it. Clearly it was an accident. We actually didn't plan that. These women aren't on the front page because we're trying to do a gender gesture. These women are on the front page because they run the St. Louis business community. And that's our community. And if that doesn't give each and every one of us more confidence. I think when you look at our community, when you meet the women who I'm about to call to the stage, and when you spend your day here, whether it's confidence in philanthropy, confidence in creativity, confidence to speak up, or confidence to start up, you're going to leave here standing a little bit taller, thinking a little bit more of yourself, and this is what we know. Claire Shipman's book, The Confidence Code, around which this entire conference was built, says confidence is contagious. So if there are 1,200 of us here now, and we each talk to 2 to 3 women over the weekend, Monday morning, the St. Louis workforce could be met with nearly 5,000 more confident women. How much better can it get than that? And what change can we bring? Please join me in welcoming the women whose companies made today's event possible. And first of all, let me introduce to you Jan Hess, who's the Vice President of St. Luke's Hospital. Jan? St. Luke's has been a title sponsor of this event, and it really shows its belief in women. Jan has a new boss. She's going to introduce her in a little bit, but I'm glad to be the first person to welcome Christine Candillo, CEO of St. Luke's Hospital, to St. Louis. Christine. Now, there are some who would say that because St. Luke's took such good care of my mom, and because my husband offices there, that I have a preference for St. Luke's, but I don't know what they're talking about. And there are some who would say that if there's any national company that has a strong loyalty to women and was forefront of really bringing women into the workforce, it was AT&T. So please join me in welcoming Nancy Garvey, Vice President, General Manager of the Greater Midwest region, and also a title sponsor of this event from the beginning. Joining Nancy is a woman who's on everybody's front page all the time, Kathy Buttonbell, Vice President, Chief Marketing Officer at Emerson. And not to be a jerk about this, best pants here, always the best pants here, best legs, best pants. Please join me in welcoming Victoria Bush, Strategic Communications Executive at Ameren, Illinois. Victoria, come on up. I knew Marcia Sullivan would be wearing this great red wrap. She willed it to herself last night at a little reception we had. Marcia is the Vice President of Integrated Marketing and Communications at Maryville University. Please welcome her. You know, one of the final panels of the day, roundtables, is the confidence to be rich. We hope that you'll all enjoy that, and we hope that you'll say thank you to Merrill Lynch for sponsoring it and recognize Natalia Simmons, who's Senior Vice President, Wealth Manager Advisor, Merrill Lynch. Natalie. You know, can't win if you don't play. Please welcome Stephanie Muldrow. She's the St. Louis Regional Sales Manager of Missouri Lottery. In your packets, there's a punch card. And if you go to all the booths and then you end the day or end your time at the Missouri Lottery booth, you could be leaving here with a new iPad. Personally, I tried to get all my little stamps done before we started. Thank you very, very much. Please welcome Victoria Boutwell, who's the Director of Development Community Impact Initiative for 9 Network. They have been a terrific partner of ours and promoted this conference. I hope many of you support them in every way. Our really good friend is Linda Lowenstein. She's a principal at the Lawrence Group, and her furniture store niche has always held a reception for us. Linda and Lawrence Group couldn't be more generous in their support of this conference. We are very grateful. Now, those girls from St. Joe's wouldn't be here on their own. Please welcome Anita Resnicek. You might have seen her in her video. She was a veterinarian there. Really, her day job is President of St. Joseph's Academy. Anita. When I talk about St. Louis having strong women in leadership roles, certainly Kitty Radcliffe, who's the president of the St. Louis Convention and Visitors Commission, has to be at the top of everybody's list. Kitty, thank you very much for your sponsorship. And finally, Dr. Beth Russell, who's the Assistant Provost for Graduate Studies and Academic Affairs at Webster University. Webster, of course, started as a women's college and has an incredible dedication to the women of St. Louis. Let me also introduce to you Jerry Schultz from Fontbonne University. I'm going to get this right one day, Jerry. Jerry leads the women's leadership programs at Fontbonne. Jerry. You know, St. Luke's really has been a title sponsor of this event since 2010. And we really would like for Jan Hess to introduce you to her new boss. Jan?
Oh, so good morning, and Ellen, thank you again for this amazing day. This has been our 7th year. It's hard to believe it's been 7 years, but 7 years of being a presenting sponsor for this amazing conference. And each year, we all come and we think, oh, it can't get any better, right? And then we come back the next year, and we're even more impressed. So I am confident that today will be no different. We'll leave here inspired and more impressed than ever. For St. Luke's, supporting development of women in the St. Louis community is something, this theme of this conference is very fitting in concert with what our mission and values are. We're all about supporting and helping people improve the quality of their life in the St. Louis community. And who is at the cornerstone of the community? Women. We are, right? So that's why we joined the Spirit of Women Network. It's a national organization that focuses on making a serious commitment to women and their health needs, and providing pertinent information and fun ways and creative ways of helping women take charge of their lives and their health. To date, we have over 12,000 women in this community that are part of our Spirit of Women program, and we want to make it even bigger. I think one of the most rewarding things about that membership or that group of women who are in our Spirit of Women program is the feedback that we get. We hear changes that women have made, sometimes life-saving changes, many times just life changing their lives in more positive ways. And these stories inspire us to go on. So this whole thing of this theme today of confidence, we're all about being confident in our health, right? If we don't feel good, it's kind of hard to be confident. And through our Spirit of Women programming, we really focus on helping women understand important things that help them feel confident in their health, whether it's how to have that critical conversation with your healthcare professional. Sometimes as healthcare professionals, we can use rather daunting jargon, can't we? And it can be confusing to people who aren't in our profession. Well, there are ways you can feel confident about having those conversations with your physician, whether there's confidence in your numbers, knowing your numbers. Numbers are critical. And if your numbers are good, what to do to keep them good. And if they're not so good, how to make them better. Knowing about confidence in knowing the right screening test, and just confidence to make pertinent life-changing decisions. So, if you aren't a member of Spirit, it's real easy to sign up. It's about a 2-minute registration. Stop by our booth. Our staff has done a great job in making the booth fun, entertaining. They've got giveaways, all kinds of pampering things, massages, and other things that will make you feel better and more confident in your health. So please stop by and do a 2-minute registration if you haven't already done so. So before I turn the microphone back over to Ellen, I now have a few minutes to introduce someone who has been inspiring confidence and those around her for the past 3 decades. And she's done this through her leadership, her entrepreneurial spirit, and the way that she gives back to her community. I am pleased to introduce today Christine Candio to her very first St. Louis Business Journal Women's Conference and welcome her to our wonderful St. Louis community. She hails from the East Coast, but she came Midwest to join St. Luke's Hospital earlier this month. In fact, just 4 short weeks ago, although I can tell you it doesn't feel that short. It feels like she's been here forever already. But she joined us as our president and chief executive officer. The hospital's been around since the 1860s, and Christine is our first female president and CEO. Prior to joining St. Luke, she served for 6 years as the CEO of Inova Alexandria Hospital, that's in Northern Virginia, and simultaneously as a senior vice president of the Inova Health System. Chris began her career as a nurse, so she's a nurse by background, and she progressed through nursing leadership ranks at several hospitals and gained extensive healthcare experience, not only in acute care settings, but also outpatient settings over the last 3 decades. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree and a Master of Public Administration with a focus on healthcare management. As a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives, we know it as ACHE, she is board certified in healthcare management. Now, for those of you who are not in healthcare and are not familiar with the ACHE, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal association. And Chris was elected as the chairman of the ACHE, and so she currently serves as chairman of that prestigious organization. It's an international professional society of more than 40,000 healthcare executives that lead hospitals, healthcare systems, and other healthcare organizations. So St. Luke's is just proud to have the chairman of that organization serving as our president and CEO. Chris has also served on the boards of many other professional and community organizations, has been a guest speaker at countless healthcare conferences throughout the country. She's currently an adjunct faculty member of the Georgetown University Graduate Mentorship Program. Chris is also a recipient of the 2012 Washington Smart CEO Bravo Award, which celebrates female CEOs who demonstrate an entrepreneurial spirit along with a passion for giving back to their community. Now, I've only known Chris, as I said, for about 4 weeks, but I can tell you I already know this. I know that she's passionate, she's caring, and she's smart. She amazes me, and for that matter, our entire St. Luke's team, with her gift of never meeting a stranger, remembering names and faces, and always saying thank you. She has been a welcome addition to our hospital. We're very excited about having her. So, St. Louis business women of St. Louis, it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you for the very first time, Mrs. Christine Candio, President and CEO of St. Luke's Hospital.
Thank you, Jan. Good morning, everyone. All right. It is absolutely wonderful to be here. It is such an honor for me to learn when I first came that we are very involved with this program and have been for a number of years. So it is an honor to be here. Thank you. You know, as you heard, I joined St. Luke's about a month ago. And I've been learning so much about the organization and about the community. And one of the things that attracted me most was, well, a couple of things actually. The system of care that St. Luke's has created throughout the community, and that's demonstrated, for example, by over 25 locations throughout the St. Louis and the St. Charles County. That is very impressive to me. And also, you know, I have to brag a little bit. You know, I'm very proud to be the leader of the only St. Louis hospital that has been rated by Health Grades as America's top 50 hospitals in the country. That is out of close to 5,000 hospitals. You know, as we mentioned, our mission is to improve the quality of life for our patients and our community. And I've been really impressed with that because it's very palpable to me when I speak to employees, to the physicians, to the volunteers, and then recently, I believe, time is just flying by, I think it was this week, we had the Chamber of Commerce Executive Development Summit. And to meet all those folks there as well, again, it was very palpable that we have a great alignment of goals to constantly enrich our community and the whole St. Louis region, which is very, very exciting. I also received an incredible, as I said, warm welcome from people outside the organization. And that's one of the things, you know, people are like, you're going to the Midwest? And you're an East Coast girl. And, you know, I said, well, yeah, and so is my husband. And we are really thrilled because it's part of our life's journey. And one of the reasons, I was very particular when I was looking, actually I wasn't actively looking, but they came to me, but I was very reflective on what I would do because I wanted to ensure that the community and the organization was in great alignment with my values and my ethics and my beliefs. And I feel that, again, not just throughout the organization, but throughout this community. And this is yet another example of really something that's very much in alignment. To see such great female leadership, to see our future leaders right in front of me, that is very exciting. And I love working with students, and it's an honor to have all of you here. So thank you for being here. And you know, my last comment, and nothing against men, we all love men, but it is about girl power, isn't it? Yes. So I hope you enjoyed today. I know you will. Already I've been seeing some of the booths, meeting many people. It is just such an inspiring day. So thank you for being here. You are giving your gift of time to be here and to network and share in today's fellowship. So thank you all very much. And Ellen, thank you from St. Louis Business Journal. We appreciate it. Thank you all.
You know, it's become a cliche to say it takes a village to do something. Actually, it only takes 2 people to put on this conference. 2 incredible superwomen. And because you're all in the right place, I assume you know Kelly Rowland because she's been in your inbox day after day after day. Kelly Rowland and LaTanja Thomas are actually here. Come on. Come on. I have to say this. You have to do better than that. You have to stand up and you have to applaud them. I promise you, without them, none of us would be here. That is the truth. You know, each of us has our own definition of confidence. For me, this morning, confidence was wearing horizontal stripes. So there are lots of ways to look at this. There are 3 women, though, who have been studying women and confidence and leadership for their professional careers. We are very lucky to have, I think, the 3 smartest women in town come and talk to us and make confidence not an ephemeral notion and not just, an idea or a way of walking or talking, but to give us a sound basis for what this whole day and hopefully most of our lives will be like. Michelle Duguid, Hilary Sale, and Laura Rosenberry are each professors with long and very impressive resumes. We have included those resumes in your booklets, and they're even longer on our website. I think it's more important to hear from them than for me to speak about them. But this is what I want you to take away. They're all at Washington University. Michelle is at the business school. Laura's at the law school. And Hillary teaches at both. They are here, and they have given of their time, which for a professor is extraordinarily valuable, to make St. Louis women better And also, they consult with businesses all over the country. So we are fortunate that they gave up their professorial time and their consulting time to be here with us. Please join me. And are we doing this alphabetically? Michelle Duguid from the Owen School of Business. Laura Rosenberry from the law school. And Hillary Sale, who teaches at both schools. Take out your notepads now, because you're going to have a lot to remember. Ladies?
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Ellen, and all the sponsors. We're so happy to be here and excited. All these amazing, exciting women. We are honored to be here. But we're going to jump right in to talk about, some of the things you all know and heard about conventional wisdom of having a successful career. You know the list. We're going to go over it a little bit. So, for example,
well, the first thing you have to do, and it's probably the easiest one on the list, is get to know every single influential leader in your workplace, find all the power brokers, and settle in.
Also easy, make all your aspirations known and make known also your accomplishments to everyone that's important.
Learn to navigate the unwritten rules.
Then be sure you emphasize the fact that you are willing to contribute. Seek out all the high-profile assignments and go get them.
How about this one? Learn to negotiate and ask for whatever you want that you think will make you successful.
And finally, work damn hard. Right?
Really hard.
That's the conventional wisdom, right? We've all heard it in all the leadership books. We think that if we do all of that, we will succeed. Am I right? Well, we're here to tell you that that's in fact wrong.
We know it's wrong because the three of us spend time talking to lots of people just like you. We spend time, as Ellen said, in industry, working with people, men and women alike. We care a lot about leadership. We work with leaders, we train people, we help women strategize about their careers, we also study it as academics. And what we've learned in all of that time is that it's way more complicated than that list. Now we know you know that because we heard you chuckle when we threw the list out, right? And what we want to talk to you about today is the difference between knowing the list and putting that list into work for yourselves.
So it turns out this list has been around for a long time. If you pick up a self-help book which talks about how to make it to the top, it's going to have the same list. I mean, I'm talking from back in the 60s, which means this list came about when organizations were completely dominated by men. But don't get me wrong, this is still a very important list. But women need to know how to use it and be better and smarter.
Right. We need to do everything on the list and more. And why is that? Because gender dynamics affect every aspect of the list, just like gender dynamics affect every aspect of the workplace. People's perceptions of women are often different than their perceptions of men, right? Because of these gender dynamics, both in the workplace and at society at large, people perceive women differently than men. Likewise, women may even underestimate our own contributions to the workforce. Now, of course, these dynamics differ across women, right? There are differences based on race, based on age, sexual orientation, nationality, even geography or industry. But all of us have to be aware of how these dynamics operate in all of their nuance. So in addition to doing everything on the list, we have to work harder and we have to develop our confidence. And so this awareness and management of gender dynamics is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to share some research about the challenges women face in the workplace, and even more importantly, we're going to talk about strategies to overcome those challenges.
So in fact, we are going to offer 3 specific strategies to help you manage and overcome some of the things we're going to talk about in terms of gender dynamics, and also help you build confidence to own your career goals and your career. So first, we're going to help you to understand the importance and role of sponsors and stretch assignments The second is to increase your ability to think creatively about gender and its roles in negotiation and self-promotion. And third is to understand all of the unwritten rules of the workplace and to embrace being strategic.
That's my favorite one. Everybody has to learn to love to be strategic, but I'm not going to talk about that. Laura is. Instead, I'm going to talk about sponsorship because that's a real passion of mine. And I want to start talking about it by making sure that everybody understands the difference between mentorship and sponsorship. I'm looking at this incredible group of women, 1,200 strong, and I'm guessing that many of you have had mentors over your careers, either formally assigned mentors from a work program or mentors that you've met in other capacities. People that you go to for advice, people that you go to and say, what do you think about this choice I'm trying to make? But sponsors are different from mentors, and there's all kinds of research out there to tell us that in fact what makes the difference in the workplace is sponsorship. This doesn't mean you should discount your mentors. It means you should work to build your network of sponsors. So what
is this difference?
I could see she was about to say, hurry up, what's the difference? And here's what the difference is. Sponsors are people who are high enough placed in the organization to have real influence, to have real traction, and then they go out there for you. They stake their reputation on you. They put at risk their reputational capital to move you ahead. They protect you, they advocate for you, they help you get pay raises, they get you stretch assignments. And stretch assignments, it turns out, are everything to advancement.
But Hillary, you know, we're all about the data. Is there anything that you can tell us in terms of studies, what people have done to say that these sponsors are really having these great effects on people's careers?
In fact, there's a lot of data out there on sponsorship. It comes in various piles. We have different people who've researched it. I just want to talk about one piece, and that's the research that Catalyst did. Many of you in St. Louis, I know, have companies that are members of Catalyst. Catalyst is an organization that helps women and is focused on women in the workplace. And they did a study starting in 2008, and it's kind of an unusual study in the sense that it's done with what we call panel surveys. Panel surveys are relatively unique. They're not like most of the political polling that you see where they dip in and dip out. A panel survey is one where they start out with a group of people and they continue following them. They poll them year in and year out. Of course, they lose some of the people in the survey because people disappear. But the advantage of this kind of survey is that you can see longitudinally what's happening with people. So they started out in 2008 with two groups of high potentials, women and men. And they started following them. They followed their pay increases, they followed their promotion opportunities, and this is what they saw. The men went like this, and the women went like this. And we haven't caught up yet. And as they started to talk to the people in the survey group more, what they learned is that the key difference for the men and the women was that the men had more sponsors. They had more highly placed, influential people in their organizations that were out there pushing for them. And the result was faster and more promotions, higher salary increases, and greater access to the kinds of opportunities that people wanted, those stretch opportunities that get you visibility. So let me just say one thing about stretch.
Well, I just wanted to say what I love about this study is that when they started it, they didn't even have sponsorship on their mind. This is not a study that was primed to then come out with a result saying sponsorship is good. They didn't even know what sponsorship really was before the study. And so they simply looked at the data and they discovered that sponsorship was so important and the importance of finding sponsors through these stretch assignments.
I think that's right, and that's why some of you probably have never heard the term sponsorship because it's a newer term. It's been around for a while, but I know every time I teach about it or talk about it or work with people on it, I find people who've never heard of it before. And it is a newer term in the world out there, but there are lots of companies now that are actually developing sponsorship plans, trying to make it work and implement it in their company. So just one more thing I want to say about it before we switch topics. I just want to make sure everybody knows what a stretch assignment is because they're so important. So stretch assignments really mean what it sounds like. It means doing something that's out of your reach, that you've never done before, that pushes your skills and that gets you visibility. The visibility is key to earning sponsors because when you get those stretch assignments, you get seen. As long as you execute well, as long as you do it right, you earn sponsors. And when you earn sponsors, they come back, they help you out, and it builds on itself.
But isn't it scary to ask for these stretch assignments?
Well, yeah, it can be scary to ask for a stretch assignment, but I think you still have to put yourself out there. You know, there's a lot of data about women and men and job applications, and this one drives me nuts, right? We see a job description and we say, well, I only have 5 of the 10 skills, I won't apply. And you know what the men do? They go, I got it, and they apply.
Right.
And they don't have any more skills than we do. They just have more confidence.
I have an even better story to kind of line up with that. So actually, Hillary and I, we participate in a program that Hillary runs called Direct Women, and there was a female director who came in to talk, and she talked about a story. You know, she gives many talks. She went to speak to this group of people. It was about 50 men, 50% men.
I just want to say, this is a CEO of a Fortune 500. I'm not going to name her, but that's the woman who told this story.
Yeah. 50% women, 50% men in the audience. And she says, okay, so who here is an expert at breastfeeding? And to her astonishment, about 2/3 of the men put their hands up. And about 1/4 of the women did.
This is a true story.
Couldn't
Did
make it
everybody
up.
get that? The men are experts at breastfeeding, and we are not.
I couldn't make it up if I tried. So, you know, after the talk, she goes to find out. She has to do some investigation. I mean, this is crazy. She goes to the men, oh, so you know a lot about breastfeeding? They're like, yeah, you know. My wife breastfed. You know, there was a thing on CNN Sanjay Gupta was doing about breastfeeding. I watched that. And my mom told me she breastfed me as a child. So I think I know a little bit about breastfeeding. She went up and cued the women. What's going, you know, you don't know a lot about breastfeeding. Well, you know, my first one didn't latch on very well, so I don't know if I can say I'm an expert. Another one was like, I don't have any kids yet. Another one said, well, I've only had one, and so, you know, maybe after 2 or 3, I'd say I was an expert. So it really made her think, wow, we really have to have written the book on breastfeeding to say that we know about it versus men. It's a little bit different. The bar's a little bit lower.
So I just want to say to you, the next time you see an opportunity in your organization, that stretch opportunity, think to yourself, men know about breastfeeding. I can do this. I got it.
Absolutely. Yep.
So it seems to me, Hillary, that part of what you're saying here is if we want to get sponsors, we have to seek out these stretch assignments. And in order to get these stretch assignments, we just need to go and tell people about our accomplishments and about our potential, about our qualifications, promote ourselves, and get ahead.
Well, here's the tricky thing about self-promotion. You know, through our socialization in a broader culture, we come to expect certain behaviors from men and women. And we know that self-promotion is seen as very good for men, but not so much for women. Usually when women self-promote, the studies show that they are seen as difficult to work with. Now here's the even trickier part. When women are too feminine, the studies show that they're actually seen as incompetent. So we call this a double bind. So you're too feminine, you're seen as incompetent. If you act in ways that are, people would say, too masculine, you're assertive, you take charge, you self-promote, then you're seen as difficult to work with, people not likable. So women have to find ways to work around this because we need to promote ourselves.
But we also have to realize that backlash is real.
Absolutely.
And the backlash can often differ across different types of women, right?
Absolutely. So research shows that women in general experience backlash much more than men when they do these quote unquote masculine things. But there's a great study done by some co-authors of mine, and they look at African American women and Caucasian women, and they show that the backlash is much more for Caucasian women. Because there's this expectation that African American women may be more take charge, may be more assertive. And so they get a backlash, yes, more than men, but less than Caucasian women. And when I share this study with an Asian colleague of mine who is really high in the field in leadership, and she predicted that Asian women would actually get even more of a backlash. The study didn't include that population because of these expectations.
So I was just going to say, it really strikes me when you're talking about this, right, that we're not saying that you have to be somebody other than who you are. What we're saying is we all have to be mindful of the impressions that other people have, right? The stereotypes that they bring to the table when we figure out how to manage ourselves and our careers.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so there must be some way, though, to still promote our accomplishments and get these stretch assignments while minimizing the backlash.
Of course, because like I said, we still have to do it. So one way that I've shown that it can be done effectively, you form a little posse, a group of men and women who actually promote for one another. So if I have my posse here.
This is part of my posse right here.
Spills over there. So when something great happens, one of these ladies will go and tell the powers that be, oh, did you hear about that article that Michelle got cited in, Sheryl Sandberg, or
She was in the New York Times, if no one saw that.
And I just want to know, I sent emails to all the powers that be when it happened.
Yep, absolutely. And then, when something great happens to these ladies, I do the same. So, none of us are promoting ourselves, but our accomplishments are getting known by others. And also, because women, sometimes when we rise to the top, the thing you hear most is, I don't know if she's likable. There's nothing more likable about any person than someone who is telling someone else about someone else's achievements. So, two things happen here. Your accomplishments get put out there, and you're seen as a good, nice person that people want to work with because you're willing to share the spotlight. You're willing to promote others.
You know what I love about this, because I'm obsessed with sponsorship, is that this is a form of lateral sponsorship, right? It's really important, and I just want to mention one thing that Michelle said. Get some men in your posse,
Absolutely.
right? And you can do the same for them. They won't earn it as much as you did, but you can still help them out.
Yeah. Very, very important. Get some men in the posse. But this also works for negotiations. So we all know, we've heard the expression, women don't ask. And now we've done research and showed why women don't ask. That fear that you have that sometimes, if you ask, you may be seen as not likable. So some of my own research, what we did, I'm not going to get into the details too much, just an abridged transcript of a negotiation. Someone asking for a raise, and they list all of their qualifications and experiences to make it legitimate for asking for this raise. The only thing that was different in this short transcript was there was a Stephen Harper and a Samantha Harper. And what we found, participants either saw the Stephen Harper or the Samantha Harper. We aggregated the data. We showed that Samantha, when she asked for a raise, gave all the same reasons, identical reasons, was seen as less likable, too demanding, and people did not want to work with her. They didn't mind working with Steve at all. So there is this backlash, but we still have to negotiate. So it's managing that backlash that we have to think about. And so some of the research, once again, because we really looked at this, is, well, it's really important to negotiate in terms of for a group. Women are communal. And so this helps minimize that, oh, they're demanding, they're not likable. Who doesn't like someone who negotiates for others? So this came up very recently, actually. Just last week, a female leader consulted us and asked us what we thought about the situation. She had planned to go to her boss, and she wanted to implement a program. The program would definitely benefit her career, but all of the constituents in the organization would also greatly benefit from this program. And like many people, she was very nervous about negotiating for some kind of funding for this. And mind you, what she came up with was a shoestring budget. We're like, oh, no. You gotta go way higher than that.
Way higher.
Way
Cash
higher.
first, cash last, cash in the middle. Yes. Never forget that.
Yes, yes, yes. And when, you go in there, you emphasize, and this was all true, how amazing this would be for the organization, the visibility, and for all the constituents involved. And she went forth and actually got that
succeeded
done.
because
Yeah.
she tied the cash to the good of the organization.
Absolutely. So another strategy that can also be used, and this ties really nicely into Hillary's sponsorship, because I know you're going to jump in with that again, is saying, Bob told me I really need to negotiate for more travel expenses, for more travel time, for more money. Blaming it on your sponsor, having them, of course, know that, but it's not you that's being demanding, not like, well, someone told you that you should do this. And you know what? What I've also found when I ask women who've used these strategies, they feel more comfortable. They're more comfortable going and saying, yeah, someone else told me to do this, or, I'm doing this for a program. So they enjoy the interaction more, but we need to learn to also love negotiating.
I sometimes get uncomfortable with these strategies because it seems to me that what you're telling us, Michelle, is that we should all just learn to be a little bit more girly. And that's not my mode.
I don't think it's girly. I think that we just we need to learn to negotiate smarter. We know what the data is out there, and we've been doing it this way. It hasn't been as effective for us. And now we know that the data says these are better ways to do it. But I think women should do what feels authentic to them.
I think that's a really important point, and I want to follow up on it because I have to say these studies are among the ones that make me more uncomfortable. And that's because I feel as if what I'm hearing is when I go in to negotiate, I should take care of the other person.
Yes.
Even though what I'm there for is to take care of me in a positive way. And I really think this point that you made about authenticity is important. You can't go in there and do it one of these ways if it doesn't feel right for you, if it's not genuine for you. These are strategies to think about and to try on and to practice and see which ones work best for you.
Yeah. And it's all about research, whether it's men or women. You have to do a whole lot of research before going into negotiating. Who you're negotiating with, what you're negotiating for, what block is that? So I'm negotiating for pay. What are the standards for pay, and so on. Men have come into my office and negotiated, and they know a whole lot about me, and they try to change their strategy. I've had men talk about shoes. So people change their strategies, and women need to give in your research to find out what's effective and what you feel comfortable with.
One of the things we're doing up here, I think, is sounding a little bit contradictory. We're saying, be assertive, be more feminine. Manage your gender, get out there and do it, right? And what I want to say about all those things is that a large piece of that is actually learning to love being strategic, which many of us think is a dirty word.
So this gets us to our third strategy. We've already talked about finding sponsors through stretch assignments. We've talked about ways to manage gender and self-promotion and negotiation. And then our third strategy is really figuring out ways to learn the unwritten rules of the workplace and to embrace being strategic. Now, in some ways, women are better at learning these unwritten rules than men are, or at least we should be, because research shows that women are better listeners, whether it's innate or I would argue because of our socialization, we're better listeners. We also have higher emotional intelligence quotients, which means that we're more perceptive. We tend to be better at monitoring emotions. We tend to be more outward focused. For all those reasons, we should be good at discovering the unwritten rules of the organization. At the same time, though, other studies show that women like to be rule followers.
That's me. I follow the rules, I like the rules, and I hate it, right? I got a daughter here in the front row, bless her heart. She could tell you I hate it when people don't follow the rules.
Right.
That's the lawyer in you.
So women tend to like to follow the written rules, and we're uncomfortable putting those written rules aside in favor of the unwritten rules. We somehow think that being strategic and thinking about the unwritten rules is distasteful or unseemly or even unfair, right? We want to think that the system is fair for everyone, and if we just work really hard within the written rules, we will succeed, right? And what we're here to tell you is we have to reframe that thinking, right? Of course we need to work hard, but we also need to learn to work smarter. We have to realize that being strategic is part of what it means to work hard. And we have to take the time to discover these unwritten rules. Because as Michelle emphasized, many workplaces were formed at a time when men were consistently at the top. There were very few women in the workforce at all. And so the unwritten rules have a history that are male-dominated, right? And they tend to be passed down from men to men, like on the golf course.
You know where else?
At the urinal.
Right. And we're not saying to go into the men's room to begin to discover the unwritten rules.
Although you can if you want to. As far as I'm concerned, it's okay.
But we are here to give you some ideas about how to begin to first uncover the unwritten rules and then to embrace them, to embrace being strategic. And once again, there's some great studies from Catalyst here where they interviewed many leaders, both men and women, about their strategies for getting ahead, how they learn to discover these unwritten rules. There are also case studies that really chronicle an individual leader's career and each step in the process that got them to where they were. And so we're just going to throw out a few ideas here about how you could embrace your inner political being, even if you find that really icky. Right? So the first idea is a pretty simple one. It's about communication norms in your organization. It's thinking smartly about those communication norms. Some of it is just mimicking back what you get. So if your boss or client emails you, you email them back. If your boss or client calls you, you call them back. Right? You don't text. You don't send an email. If they like the phone, you use the phone.
I think that's really important, right? Because I know that the span of generations in this room is really, really broad. And we work a lot with young women, and young women communicate a lot by text, but the workplace doesn't operate that way. Our bosses don't operate that way, and you really have to figure out the norms and then operate inside of those norms.
Likewise, if your boss answers every email within 20 minutes, you have to try to answer every email within 20 minutes. If your boss takes a few days to answer or sometimes doesn't answer at all, it's a little bit more complicated. That gives you a little bit more leeway. You don't have to answer within 20 minutes, but it might be problematic if you just completely ignore an email, right? So you have to figure out these unwritten communication norms in your particular organization. The second idea has to do with who's in charge. It's about throwing out the org chart and deciding who are the real decision makers for any given situation. Sometimes the org chart can help you, but oftentimes the org chart doesn't tell you who the real decision makers are. Likewise, you have to figure out in what language they speak, right? And by this, I don't mean phone or text, right? This, I mean what motivates them. For some decision makers, it's all about the organization's goals. For other decision makers, it's more about process. For others, it might be about sports. One year, I learned more about the NBA than I ever thought possible. Luckily, I don't have to do that anymore. Sometimes it's about barbecue. Sometimes it's about shoes, right? You have to figure out in what language the decision maker speaks. Third idea has to do with feedback. I think we all tend to be good at asking for feedback, but women tend to say, well, what could I have done better? What went wrong? What could I have done better? You need to continue to do that, but then you need to also ask, what did I do well? You need to ask for feedback in a more smart, targeted way. Why? If you ask someone what you did well, you resist the backlash that comes with self-promotion.
Because they're promoting you now.
They are promoting you.
Yep.
It's also a way to get sponsors, right? If you want to meet somebody in your organization or talk to somebody that you've met but you don't know them that well, and you really did just go do one of those stretch opportunities, this feedback mechanism is a great way to open a conversation with them. You go in and you say, I'd really like to talk to you about this project. I feel good about the way it went. I'd love to get your feedback on how it went. And you start the conversation in a positive frame. You are likely then to get some positive feedback. You're also going to get some healthy criticism, which you should open up to, right? You need to learn to receive feedback well, as much when it's negative as when it's positive.
And this comes to a fourth idea. You need to develop a growth mindset. And part of that is getting the feedback, both positive and negative, and then moving forward. And one way to do this, particularly if a growth mindset seems daunting at first, is to take a small wins approach. And we're going to hear about this later today. But to just say, well, today I'm going to try this. It doesn't have to be a big growth opportunity. It can be a small growth opportunity. I'm going to try this. See how it works. And if you fail, but you fail fast, and then you fail forward. You go to the next opportunity, and you take the small wins approach to develop a growth mindset. And in doing so, you're really not just uncovering the unwritten rules of the organization, but you're learning to be strategic within that organization. And so in sum, this third point is all about learning to not just work harder, but to work smarter and to really embrace being strategic.
Okay, so one more thing that we need to talk about that also gets into this idea of being strategic is this idea of favors. Usually women, we want to be helpful, we want to help everyone, but a favor can really be a source of power, okay? So humans, we have this innate need to reciprocate. If someone does something for me, I feel the need to repay to them. We want to pay back. So you can use this. So I tell people, when you go into a room, most people look around the room and they think, okay, this is a networking opportunity. Who here can do something for me? That is great, but you also need to look around the room and say, who here can I do something for? Because when you can give someone a favor, provide them with a piece of very important, scarce information, connect them with someone who can give them an opportunity, all of those things, you can call on that person again, or they will offer to help you later on down the line. It is very important. We don't think about it nearly as much as women. We just think, oh, we'll help. Because you know what I usually hear when a woman does something wonderful for me? I mean, it was out of her way. It took a lot of her social or political capital to do it. Do you know what women usually say after I say thank you?
I know what I say to Michelle all the time. You're welcome. Happy to do it. Wasn't that big of a deal? No problem.
Wrong. Next time what I want you to say is, you're very welcome. And I know if this ever happened, if you were in the same position as me, you would do the same for me, right? So you have created in someone's mind, which they already knew, that, yeah, I was happy to do this for you, but this is a sisterhood, and I know you would do the same for me if the shoe was on the other foot.
And
okay?
it doesn't
Very important.
And it doesn't have to be gendered.
No,
right?
absolutely. And this with your male colleagues as well. Please, please, please do not tell anyone, now you owe me. That may bring some resistance.
I've been known to say that.
Right. So once again, you have to be aware of the backlash, right? So we have to be smart in terms of how we respond to the favors, but we also don't want to squander the power that comes from doing favors.
Absolutely.
Can I talk one more time about sponsorship?
Sure.
Because squandering the power just really provoked it in me, right? Because I said a lot of stuff about it, but one thing I forgot to mention up front is actually what do the sponsors get, right? If I tell you all these things about how good it is for you, I think I should tell you something about how good it is for them. And it really is tied to favors. So it turns out that sponsors get a lot out of sponsorship. They themselves become known as talent spotters. They increase their reputational capital every single time you perform and perform well. they also get more sense of community at work, which all of us really like, right? They get to develop that relationship with you, and you become an influential person in the organization, and that redounds to their benefit. All because, if you want to put it that way, they did you a favor in the first place by helping you get that stretch assignment.
Right. So everyone go and look at the favor wall. And
Right, it's a way to start implementing the small wins approach. Very low stakes, low risk today. Go to the favor wall and start thinking about reciprocity and not squandering the power of your favors.
so one more thing though, in your organizations, women get asked, we often hear, and in our own organizations, to do a lot of tasks. Some of these tasks are not necessarily concretely tied to helping you progress up through the organization. Ladies, women, please be careful. Time is a resource. We don't have time to do everything. When someone in the organization asks you to do them a favor, think closely and carefully about whether you have time to do this, to do it to your best ability, and will this favor help you also to progress, or will it hold you back? You have to sometimes learn how to say no to doing favors, because we will get bogged down in doing everyone a favor, and then we can't progress in our own career. So keep that in the back of your mind.
In fact, this is really key. You have to learn to be comfortable saying no, right? And embracing being strategic means figuring out which favors are worth your time, which ones will help you move through that unwritten path to promotion, and which ones you can say no to.
And you can say no to all what I call the lumpy tasks. You can just cross those off your list and be more strategic.
But when your sponsor asks you for a favor,
Oh, well, that's a different story. Sponsors are everything.
so say yes to your sponsor, but think carefully before saying yes to other favors.
Great. I think we're just about out of time
Yeah.
because we started out without the clock, but then they turned it on us. So we're just going to wrap up here.
Okay, so remember our 3 key strategies for negotiating these gender dynamics in the workplace. First, get your sponsor and do it through getting these stretch assignments, which will then get you more sponsors. The second, think creatively about gender and the backlash, particularly when it comes to self-promotion and negotiation. Then third, learn the unwritten rules and embrace being strategic.
You need to develop confidence to own your career. And we gave a lot of strategies, but you need to be confident in doing what is authentic for you.
So in the end, what we really want to say is thank you so much to Ellen for letting us be here today and have the chance to talk with you, to all of the sponsors for making this event possible. We are really passionate about this work that we do, and to come here and have the opportunity to talk to you is really great for us. So Ellen, thanks for your sponsorship in having us here today and letting us spend the day and learn from people here. And women, we want to hear from you. Tell us about the strategies, tell us if they work, and give us your stories for later on in our programs. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to underscore authenticity, Professor Rosenberry, would you stand up and come up and, right. I just want to say, these are the best boots you will ever see. And because I actually know what I'm talking about, they are the most expensive boots you will ever see. And that takes a hell of a lot of confidence. So thank you, ladies, very, very much. You've gotten a lot of emails from Kelly? This is my big, long Kelly note. And it would help me if you would do what she says, okay? So, here we go. This is the important stuff. Get ready to write it down. As I mentioned earlier, there really are more than 100 exhibitors here for you today. I do hope you'll visit them. My own plan is to visit one row each break. Additionally, the Missouri lottery raffle. Several other exhibitors are offering raffles ranging from the Lawrence Group's Herman Miller chair to spa gift certificates, all sorts of really great things. Winners of each raffle will be posted in the midway area near the booths. Now, really, don't worry about the urinals because today all of the restrooms have been converted to ladies' rooms. The men, we'd like to advise you to watch your backs. The only men's restroom is located at the end of the midway in Union Station. We invite you to turn your cell phones on vibrate. There are business breaks between each session and lunch, and so you can handle all your business then. We know everybody's busy, but it's a little bit more respectful. If you need to charge your phone, and we know that phone's been on vibrate, please visit the Power Up by Personal Touches charging station that's located in the Pegram room. We do have a full house today, so we'd like to ask you to fill all available seats in the front of the breakout session rooms. Okay, you know what that means? Sit in the front. If you don't sit in the front, we got people who push you to the front, so just make it easier on all of us. This year, lunch is open seating. Unless you're a sponsor or your company has purchased a table, please find a seat at a non-reserved table. There's space for everybody. You just have to look. And all of your meals are going to be delicious, so we hope that you sit down quickly and enjoy them. The quicker you can get seated, the faster we will get to hear Claire Shipman, who is our keynote speaker, and as I said, her book, The Confidence Code, is the basis for the day. The ladies who helped you at registration this morning are going to be around all day. They can answer every question. Also, Business Journal photographers are going to be on site all day, so it's a great opportunity to get your favorite group together for a group photo. We hope that you visit the Business Journal website next week, and you'll be able to see all those photos posted. Many of you have said, I just don't know which session to go to. Don't worry. We're going to be audio recording all the sessions and videotaping keynotes. So we're going to email you when all of this information is available at our website. Whatever you go to, we'll cover you. We've got your back. We hope that you'll join Bonfire. That's B-O-N-F-Y-R-E. B-O-N-F-Y-R-E. It's an app. If you haven't already downloaded it, please do, and search for the 2015 Women's Conference. Our Twitter hashtags today are hashtag STLWomen, hashtag FavorWall. I know everybody has busy schedules. We'd love for you to stay with us all day. If for some reason you can't do that with your calendar, please come back at 4:30 because we're going to have a networking reception, which in my mind is just a good time to drink. Remember that the lucky iPad winner is going to be announced at 4:45. And finally, take those calendars out, because if you think today's great, you got to see what we've got planned for you the rest of the year. We have Biz Women Mentoring Monday on March 30th. Biz Women Mentoring Monday, March 30th. And, you know, time flies, so I expect we'll see you on Friday, January 29th, 2016, for the 11th Annual St. Louis Business Journal Women's Conference. Have a great day. Thank you, professors.